All right. Good morning, everyone. So let's see. Let's talk about. Lately, yesterday we had our elections, and we went to the polls and we voted. We made a lot of decisions on our president, and we made a lot of decisions on propositions. We talked about things from GMOs to all the way through financial decisions on what California taxpayers will pay on, to things like Prop 34. Prop 34 is about the death penalty. And what the death penalty is, basically we're sentencing murderers and things like that to death. And the Prop 34 wants to repeal, the process of the death penalty if they're for life in prison without the possibility of parole. So the issue is not about the morality of it, is it okay to kill people, but it's the finances of it. Because right now, California and the United States, we're in a financial crisis, and we shouldn't be spending this sort of money. I think Prop 34 is something that we all need to know about. So let's get into some of the facts. Jim Flanagan he runs a business journal in the San Joaquin Valley, and he says that he says that according to him that the death sentence is just life imprisonment without parole, but instead served on a more expensive death sentence. Also, according to him, he says that as of 2009, there was 199 inmates on death row, and it cost us about $93,457 more than housing a regular inmate in regular state prison. On top of that, according to the official analysis of Prop 34, it says that Americans and California taxpayers will save about roughly annually $130 million per year if we then change to the state to the fact that we want a life in prison without the possibility of parole. So in this speech, I'm going to go over three things. I'm going to go over the capital case process of how these murders are convicted. Two, some of the financial costs of a person in prison without the possibility of parole. And three, some of the financial costs that come with a person getting sentenced to death row. So first, we come to, like I said, the capital case process. And as you can see, it's quite an extensive list of things you have to do. It's very different than normally the other things. Than if you're sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. There's about 11 major steps, and it's a very lengthy process. First, we go through the steps of what we call pre-trials, where we decide whether or not he was a murder with special circumstances, such as rape or anything like that. And then from there, we go on to the next process where they have to appeal at both the state and federal level. And so once that's happened, then they get appealed to California State Supreme Court. And when that is all said and done, then from there, the defendant or the inmate, he can then petition for the right of habeas corpus, where he can bring in facts outside the court and into the court that were previously not acknowledged. And then after that, then they have to go to the federal district court to then talk about file any constitutional claims that you feel that might have not arisen. And then furthermore, once that is done, he then goes to the 9th District saying pretty much that he feels that the decision of the court previously, federal court, was wrong. And then he can finally appeal to the Supreme Court in the United States, and where they go over the overview and they think about that. And he gets a chance to direct appeal again, but most of the times they say no and they continue on. Then he can petition, and if there's more and more consecutive petitioning and that doesn't happen, then from the moment the Supreme Court of the United States makes the judgment, they have 30 to 60 days to set the execution. And then from there, the defendant, also known as the appellate, he can go for a full pardon if he wishes to. That most of the time never happens. And then finally, they can execute him. But what people don't realize is that this takes over the course of weeks, and sometimes possibly even years. So next I come to the decision and everything about some of the financial costs that come with a prisoner in serving life in prison without the possibility of parole. Right now, according to the California Nonpartisan Legislative Analysis, he says that it will cost us roughly about $47,644 to house someone in prison every year, just one person, and that it's broken down into a couple different categories. It's about $19,644 for security. It's $12,466 for health. It's $7,283 for maintenance and record keeping. It's $7,000 for administration costs. It's $3,274 for food and clothing. It's about $2,273 for rehabilitation and activities, and about $1,000 for other sort of miscellaneous object and times. So then also, we know the cost, so let's talk about the benefits. Some of the benefits and reasons why a lot of people, and why we say that the life in prison with apostrophe parole is better, is because of the fact that it costs less, but then we're also holding the inmates and people accountable for what they have done. Versus with the death penalty, we're not. We're just sending them to execution, and they're being housed differently, and all such. Of course, also since they're being accountable, they're working the rest of their life, and a lot of those fees get paid to the victims, which can provide them with financial support that they may or may not need. Also, some of the benefits that we also do is that we're like according to Jim Flanagan before, we state that we're saving Californians about $130 million per year. So third, let's go to, and one of the last things I want to talk about is the whole financial cost for someone in life in prison. Like right now, it costs in pretrials about $1 million just to pretrials and trials. That was just a fraction out of the 1 through 11 steps. $1 million, it's a lot of money in the whole grand scheme of that. And especially that, according to the official Jim Flanagan, he also states, and also Arthur Alcaldes, that he's a Supreme Court justice, is that in 1978, since the death penalty was put back into place, we've spent almost $4 billion on executing only 13 people. And as of 2009, there's 199, and there's possibly even more. That's a whole lot of money. So then we go into things like, these are special trials that are different from the regular mainstream type of things with other violent crimes. So they have to hire special lawyers within those sort of cases, and per lawyer it costs around $200,000 to $300,000 just to pay them to do those cases. And so then from there, some of the things we also talk about and we need to know is that the fact that right now the death penalty does not deter any murdering, it does not stop any violence or crimes, and that this stuff still continues. And so overall, that in the end. So this concludes my speech, and in the speech I talked about, one, the capital case process, two, some of the financial issues and burdens that get placed on the state person who's in life in prison with possibly parole, and three, some of the financial issues that arise with someone in life, being sentenced to the death sentence, or also known as capital punishment to some. So yesterday hopefully we made the right decision on Prop 34. Hopefully we were informed and made a good decision. Thank you.